I think the first thing that we need to do first about the music business is information. It's just knowledge. Imagine struggling as a creative, as an artist. You're struggling to eat, you're struggling to pay your rent, and then someone comes to you and says, I'm going to give you $20,000 and I'll sign you for 10 years or I'll sign you for 15 years. I'll honor your masters. The only thing you're hearing is that $20,000 because you're calculating in your mind. Shiz, $20,000. If I convert that to Naira, that's millions. I'm a millionaire. Oh my goodness. And then you sign this thing. You're recording more music. You're dropping more hits. Now you're beginning to travel outside of Nigeria to be in spaces where they're talking about music business. You're beginning to meet other artists who actually know the music business and talking about how they only have 2 albums. They've made $2 million and you have 10 albums. You've only made $100,000. Then you now go back to read your contracts. And that's when you now start seeing, oh man, I made a mistake.
And what's the worst deal you've seen from either a producer or an artist?
The worst deal?
Yes.
This is crazy that you're asking me this right now because
Chopstix, Grammy Award-winning producer, the creative mind behind some of the most defining records of our time. He's worked with some of the biggest artists in the world, Burna Boy, Chris Brown, and Ice Prince, just to name a few, and built a sound that crossed continents.
Whoever is going to save the Nigerian music industry is not the artist, it's the producer. Because the artist is just out there to perform to whoever is going to pay them. Even if they come to preach and say, oh, we're here for the culture, we're here for Afrobeat, they're not here for nothing. They're only here to make money. And I don't fault them for it. But at the same time, if you're getting paid, you might as well protect what is paying you. And that's Afrobeat. You have to protect it.
He's more than a producer. He's an architect, building businesses, building ecosystems, building a generation of creators who understand that music isn't just art. It's enterprise, it's influence, it's power.
The first time I copied all my beats on a CD and handed it out to somebody to listen to was Young L. He listened to it and he came back to me. He was like, bro, I'm not going to lie, man. This shit is whack. He told me straight up to my face.
In this conversation, he opens the door to his world, how he carved out a unique sound, and why the business behind the beat matters just as much as the beat itself. Do you feel like African producers are finally getting their flowers, or do you feel they're still on someone else's table?
I feel like
Chopstix. So right now, someone listening to this podcast, they may be commuting, unwinding from a long day at work, or really just chasing a dream. And I want you to tell our audience that clicks into your video, what's one truth about the business of music that you think could change their mindset?
The music business is very complicated. Yeah. And there's just so many moving parts. So I don't think there's one particular thing I can point to. I feel like there's a few things I can actually point to. And one of them will be, I would say, being able to see yourself through the lens of the consumer. Because that will be the best way for you to package yourself and know what the consumer wants. So that would, if you're able to do that, if you're able to have that vision, it will kind of like change how you see the music industry and how you even see yourself. And how you imagine, how you see people consuming your music. You know, it will give you a better perspective on how to market yourself and how to, you know, just go about the music business in total, in general. Yeah.
I think what I'm actually trying to reflect on is, for me, understanding the music industry, right? And I have a limited knowledge, you're the expert here. Is it's shifted completely, right? Like, you know, I'm a millennial, so I remember the way we used to consume music was through albums, CDs, literally. Then there was the iPod. And now there's a lot of people complaining about the TikTok confession of music. Like now it's short. Yeah. And so what advice would you have for someone who is entering the music industry in this new layout of the business?
I would say own whatever you make. First things first, you have to target owning whatever you make, and because it's different now. The industry has changed, business and even the music itself has changed, you know, over time. Before, it used to be artists used to hope to sell CDs and just sell physical stuff. You know, just the music was physical, you know, and merch was everything you're selling as an artist was physical. Everything you're selling now is digital. You know, you're not selling physical stuff anymore. So album sales count only online, and that way it just means you sell more albums, more units. It might just be cheaper, you know, because if you're buying physical CDs, they're more expensive at the time. But there's a difference. At the time when you buy a physical CD, it feels like you own something, you know, from the artist. But now it's different, where all you have to do is just, you know, press play on your iTunes or Spotify and you're streaming the music. So I would say just make sure your content is on point. Make sure it's timeless. Make sure you own it 100%. even if you don't own it immediately, because I know there's labels who want to own your masters for a period of time and then revert it back to you after a certain period of like years or whatever the deal term, allows. So I would say, or just make sure you own whatever you create, because that's where your food is. Yeah.
And can you talk about like how you own, right? Or the type of work you do? Because I know also, especially as a producer, there's always this question around like owning or mixing, etc. So I would like you to expand on that.
So I own everything I've created, or every music I've made. I own everything. All my rights are mine, 100%. I only just had a situation years ago where someone tried to steal rights to my music, and claiming that I had signed something in perpetuity to them, and I just had to fight the case for almost 6 years, and I got it back. They were claiming my entire catalog.
6 years?
Yeah. So I signed a deal. It was more of a management deal and a kind of like a publishing deal where the agents were supposed to publish any song I have placements, or they help me get placements with. So any song I've done by myself outside of that deal, I can publish by myself. And they went on to register my entire catalog and claimed that I had signed it off in perpetuity to them. But they probably thought I wouldn't know about that, or I wouldn't understand it exactly. Because the music business is quite, like I said earlier, very complicated, and you learn every day. It's not something you just wake up one morning and know everything about. So luckily for me, I had gained enough knowledge about, each at a time, and I had to fight. So I got a lawyer, and I had to fight to get my shit back. 100%.
And that was here in Nigeria, or was this in America?
No, it was a UK company, actually.
UK?
Yeah, owned by Nigerians.
Wait.
And that was the reason why I even decided to work with them in the first place, because they were Nigerians, just young guys like me who lived in the UK. And I felt like at the time, they had better, knowledge and better network that I could tap into to get my music out there. So I was sending them music, and they were helping me get placement. But the contract states that whatever song they help me get placements with is what they're going to publish, which is fair, and I agreed. And they also get like co-production credits, even if they don't really add anything. I just give them credit just to get the work out there. But the thing about music money is, when you start making money from music, if you're not careful, you might start getting greedy. You might just want to eat where you have no business eating from. So yeah, that was what happened. And there was still a case that even came up recently that I'm still fighting, that's still tied to them.
To these UK people.
Yeah.
There's, a lot of creatives and artists say things like, and this was maybe back in the day, but I'm sure things have evolved, where I just want to focus on the creative side of things.
Yeah.
I want other people to handle my business interests. Do you have any advice for a creator starting off today? Because I had this feeling like, in these times, you have to actually evolve. You have to be someone who has at least an understanding of all the things that are going on within your ecosystem, and not just somebody who says, I'm going to lock myself into just the creative. What advice do you have for young creators coming up in this space?
I'll say, first of all, this is what I always say, before you present yourself, just discover yourself before you present yourself. Because a lot of young artists that I meet and young producers that I meet just want to run into the industry without necessarily building something for themselves first. First you have to build a catalog for yourself before you even start playing people your music at first, because you can't go into the studio and the first song you recorded is a song you're pitching as your first single. That's a failed plan already. You have to build something, build a catalog, build a team around yourself. Most importantly, have a good manager and a good lawyer as well, because those two people who will save your ass when trouble comes. And there's always trouble. No one in the music industry is above, whatever kind of trouble or whatever kind of, all I call it now. Basically just troubles that happen within the music industry. Anyone's copyright laws can be infringed upon. Anyone's contracts can be breached. So just get a good lawyer, a good music lawyer, because not just any lawyer. Because I've seen contracts that just lawyers have drafted for upcoming producers that I've read through, and I've just advised them against, using that contract, because there's just things in there that there are no music terms. If you read through the contracts, you can tell that the lawyer that wrote this thing is not a music lawyer. So go get yourself a good music lawyer, a good manager, and a good PR team. Just build a team around yourself, for yourself, most importantly, before you even start thinking about dropping your first single or featuring or doing anything that has to do with participating in the music industry. First build your team. It's like in football, it's like going for a football match. You have to have a team and a good coach before you can actually even get to play. You can't just find yourself in the field and playing without a team, without a coach. You obviously fail.
In football, the World Cup or winning the World Cup is basically like the triumphant trophy, right? Or Champions League.
Yeah.
I think in music, a lot of people would say like the Grammys is one of that, right? And you won the Grammys for Chris Brown 1111 Deluxe album. When you were coming up, what was your ultimate dream in the space? And did it include winning the Grammy? And if it did, how did it then feel after you won the Grammy?
I would say when I was coming up, when I was like a young producer, young artist / producer, writer as well, I wasn't even thinking about the Grammy. All I was thinking about was just making music that made people happy or just made people feel good, because I just love the way music made me feel when I make music. And what I try to sell to people is that feeling. It's not even the sound, because somehow it's the sound still, because the sound is what makes you get that feeling, So I know for a fact that when people listen to what I make, they will feel the same way I felt when I was making it. So that's what I'm trying to sell. That's always been the goal. It has never been Grammy or winning any awards, And I've got nominated a couple of times for awards here in Nigeria, but never, won any, which wasn't really a problem for me. Wasn't, because that's not my goal. That's not what I'm chasing. I'm trying to be in a position where music, I can use music to actually make a change and touch people's lives and, make people actually understand and consume music the right way. But winning the Grammy, I feel like is like an icing, like a cherry on the, like an icing on the cake. It was just, so I was nominated 4 times for 4 different works.
4 Grammys.
Yeah. And I won 1 time.
Yeah.
Which was on the Chris Brown's 11 album. I produced the track on there. His second single from the album, Nightmares, featuring Byron Messiah.
Wait, sorry. When you say nominated 4 times, you mean 4 times prior to this past Grammy, or 4 times during this particular Grammy?
No, 4 times prior.
Prior, okay.
Yeah. The first time was on the African Giant album for the song that I produced for, I think the song was featuring Angelique Kidjo and Dame Emole. It's called Different. Yeah. And it also had co-productions from TMXO and GMK. So we all got nominated for the Grammys as well. And then after that, I got nominated for the following album, and then got nominated for Love Damini album as well. And I also got nominated for the single Last that I dropped, and then now finally won a Grammy on the Chris Brown's album that I got nominated for as well. Yeah.
Isn't that like, because I'm pretty sure I remember going into one of those albums, there was an expectation that maybe Afrobeats would carry a Grammy from one of those times, right? And probably even a lot of Nigerians thought like this is going to be one of the chances that a Grammy comes home. Yeah. And that it feels like God said, nah. And that, the place you might not have even expected it to come from, and now becomes the entry point in the Grammy. Is that how you've reflected back on it?
Yes, that's exactly how I saw it. Because sometimes when something doesn't work out for you, it doesn't mean that it's a no. It just means just wait, you get it some other way, or there's another route, or there's something, bigger in store for you. But me not even winning the Grammy at the time didn't affect my work. I was just happy that, okay, cool. If we're getting, in the doors, if we're getting nominated, if we're getting this kind of recognition, that means we're obviously doing something right. And getting 4 nominations is obviously a good enough evidence to show that as well. So finally winning it just solidifies everything, But I would say as an artist or as a producer or as a creative or music within the music industry, just make music, man. Don't necessarily aim to win a Grammy, because if you say I want to win a Grammy today, I'm going to go into the studio, I'll make a Grammy song, you may end up not making any Grammy song. Just make music how best you know how to make it, and just hope for the best.
So I actually want to double click into that, because I want to go into the night you heard you won the Grammy.
Yeah.
Where were you? What were you thinking? Who was the first person you called? Like, I want to know, give us that scene.
I was in Ireland with Ice Prince, actually. No, I was in London before, because we went from London to Ireland. He had a show there, so went there to perform. So I got the info while I was in London, in London with Ice Prince. And I just looked at my phone and someone sent me a text. I'm like, yo, you just got nominated again on Chris Brown's, thing. I'm like, oh, for real? Say, yeah, you won. You also won the Grammy. I'm like, what? I actually won. So I showed Ice Prince that he was losing his mind, and he was just calling. So I was supposed to be calling people. Ice Prince was calling people, telling them, yo, do you know Chopstix just won a fucking Grammy? Do you know Chopstix? And that's how Ice Prince is. If he loves something, or if he like fuck with your shit, he would make sure everyone else, falls in love with it, So that's just how he is. And so that was what happened. I can remember exactly where we were, the time of the day, and just how, it was an amazing feeling though. Yeah, it was an amazing feeling.
And so from that point, has it really changed your life? Because sometimes people feel like, oh yeah, I won a Grammy, and then life continues, and it just kind of is this milestone, and you go on.
Yeah.
What difference have you seen from it?
So I would say, because before the Grammys, prior to even my nominations, I was constantly having to prove myself worthy of, working with certain people, and I would, because how I see music is different from, I know for a fact that how I listen to music and how I hear music is different from how everyone else hears it. And I know that one thing that people are not really quick to adjust to is change, especially if you have to be gradual with it, So sometimes I try to ease myself into whoever I'm working with, wherever artist I'm working with. And most times when I'm working with an artist, I don't only make music with them. I try to also it's because I feel like it's a holistic package, like from their looks, from their branding, their imagery, everything, has to match with the music. That's why when I make music for an artist, it sounds like what their music is. It sounds like what they are, And most of the times when I try to sell that to an artist, they might not really get it because they'll just rather be in their comfort zone. But just having the Grammy tag, if I'm talking to an artist, I'm like, yo, this is what you need. They listen instantly, be like, okay, cool. If you have the Grammy certification, that means let's do it. So it has made my work a lot more easier, Just not just artists, even working with brands, there's brands that I pitch ideas to and be like, yeah, we need to do this. Because just outside of the music, I'm a creative person as well. Like I make art, I just started making visuals now, just videos, and I'm trying to also go deep into that. So that if I give an advice on anything that's art related, it won't just be, I'm not just speaking off of, I'm speaking from a place of experience and knowledge as well. Yeah, so it's helped. It's opened a lot of doors for me. I'm able to connect and speak to people that on a normal they wouldn't necessarily want to speak unless you have some sort of cosign from a Grammy, for example. Yeah.
But actually, can you go into, because you said this a few times, I want to explore this because you talk a lot about, I listen to music differently, the right way to consume music. Yeah. I hear things differently than others. So walk me through that. Is it like you see colors? I want to understand what this is. I recently,
last year, just found out that there's a term for it. When I hear sound, I see like, I don't know how to explain it to you to make you understand it. But
no, just say, I want to know what's in your mind.
I see sound. Yeah. So
you're one of those people.
Yeah. I never knew it was a thing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So if you tap the table now and I close my eyes, I can see what that sound is in I can see the shape of it, or the figure of it. Sometimes I see it in colors, sometimes I see it in shapes and stuff. So when I listen to music, I'm seeing. So let me explain it to you. Let me explain it to you in the simplest way that I can. See these sculptures here. Yeah? They are arranged in a way that is pleasing, is aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. If one is off, that's how I see music. If I hear something that's off in the sound, I can see it visually. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's how I'm able to see through music. Whenever I'm working in the studio, I'm able to sit and listen. And I can hear, if anything is off, I can hear it and I can see it as well. So it just makes my work, it makes music for me easier, and I enjoy music better.
Wait. So what is that called? Isn't it called like a synth?
There's a name for it. I can't remember. Yeah.
We'll find it.
Yeah, we'll find. Yeah. We'll put it as a in the description because there is an actual name. There's for a term people. For it. Yeah. There's a term for it for people who can see that.
Yeah.
I wanted to take it back to the City days and even before that, Great Boy days, right? Yeah. And the question I have, I remember when I met you the first time and you were like, yo, this is how old I am. I'm like, get out of here. Because I just honestly thought you were in your early 20s. I was like, man, you have maintained, I don't know if it's the diet from that side, you have maintained all of it. Yeah. But when you look back at it now, you have been able to see artists either come and go, the highs, the lows. You have still even been able to maintain a relationship with some of the people you started off with, whether it's Ice Prince, like you were just talking about.
Yeah.
What do you look back at now and miss about those days? Because now, you're a Grammy-winning producer. People might meet you as Chopstix today, and you still have a long way to go. But when you look back at those times, is there a nostalgic feeling of man, if I knew that this would be how it would pan out, maybe there are moments in which I would have cherished a little bit more because so much just changes over time.
Of course. And the one and the only thing that I look back at and just wish that because I hate looking back at the past, I always just want to look, forward. But if I was to look back, one of the things that I miss the most would just be making music with my friends, my brothers. I call them brothers, you know, Young L, India, Ice Prince, just being in the same house because we were living together at some point. Just being in the same house and just waking up in the morning and the first thing on your mind is just to get in the studio and just make music. You know, that's all we did. All day, every day, recording, writing, producing, just happily. You know, there's no pressure to make a certain kind of sound. You just wake up, you have an idea, you come to the studio, you meet the producer, which is me, and you're saying, yo, I have this idea, I want to make this thing. So it was like a creative, it was an era that we had like the highest, you know, level of creative freedom. We could just make anything. You know, at the time when Afrobeat was on a certain BPM, Young L dropped his first single, which is titled Red Rose. It was different from anything that was out there, you know, in the industry. And just breaking boundaries without, you know, any care in the world. That was the thing that, although I still do that now, but I just miss doing it with my friends, my brothers.
Walk us through that time period, right? Because this is the same era that I'm sure, this is the same era of like the MIs, Ice Princes. What did that era look like, especially growing up where you guys came up and it feels like you guys came up in like a whole bubble where you guys valued and listened to music differently, much more eclectic taste than what we were hearing maybe here in the South or even in the East. What did that look like in that era, growing up in that sort of environment?
So I'll just take you guys back a bit to Jos, which is basically where we all grew up from and where I picked up my music, you know, interest. Jos is a very, very cool, calm city, very interesting, full, like warm people, welcoming people. The environment just lets you create, you know. I feel like every creative needs to go to Jos at least one time in their life. Just spend a day there or 2 days and thank me later. It's cheap. Everything is cheap. Food is cheap. It's 10 times cheaper than wherever it is here you're spending in Lagos. And by meaning cheap, when I say cheap, it doesn't mean the quality is low. It's high quality, cheap stuff. You know, most of the fruit you eat here were found in Jos. We're all, you know, sent in there from there. So just growing up in that type of environment where there's just trust. You can have a flat tire in the middle of the night and a total stranger can pull up and help you change your tire without necessarily wanting anything from you. They just want to help. You know, just growing up in that type of environment just allowed me to flourish, allowed me to grow and just be the best form of creative that I can be. You know, and then meeting other people who are on the same wavelength. You know, when I met Ice Prince, I literally met Ice Prince in the studio. Like I was 2 hours away from my house. And I think MI was recording on the same day. Ice Prince was in the studio. MI was in the studio with Jesse. And Abuchi had introduced me to Ice Prince because Abuchi was the studio engineer at the time. Abuchi, who's currently the CEO of Chocolate City. And he met me and he just liked me and just wanted to help because he heard my stuff and he felt like, yo, this guy is really, you know, he's got something and it could be bigger than what it is right now. Yeah, so actually, in fact, let me take this time to just give a shout out to Abuchi. Big shout out to Abuchi because he literally put me on, you know. And so when I linked up with Ice Prince, I gave him a CD with my beats on it. I had a Walkman, a Discman, and he put it in his ear. He was listening to the sound and he walked off. And when he came back, he was just gassing. I thought he was just gassing me. I was like, man, yo, this is dope, man. Bro, I'm coming 1 second. And then he went to meet MI. He was like, bro, you need to listen to this shit, man. This guy's got sick beats like that. Like, Ice Prince has always been like that. If he likes your shit, he will make sure everyone else listens to it by force. You know, so he kept, and then when it was time for us to leave, when I was heading back home, he was like, yo, I need to follow you back home. I'm like, bro, you can't follow me back home. My house is 2 hours away from me. He's like, I don't care, let's go. So we hopped on the bike and we blew 2 hours back to my house. He said because he wanted to hear more music. That's how passionate people were about music. Like they would go to any ends of any extent just to, you know, connect and just make music. Came to my house, introduced him to my mom, said hi, went to my room. And I was just playing him beats and he was freestyling for hours. And then by 8 p.m. it was time for him to leave. We exchanged numbers and that's how we became friends. Since that day till date, we've been connected. Wow. Yeah. And just meeting people who are on the same wavelength, who have the same passion, the same energy, has been, you know, I think has been one of the biggest advantages to my career and to just my life in general. Yeah.
Walk us through the last sample, right? Yeah. I think it was one of the, at least in my opinion, or maybe I don't know if it's their own opinion too, where a sample that has brought and merged the best of both worlds comes in. What did that look like for you? How did you even come up with it? And then how do you know what the sort of artist you want to hear on it? And is that how you also make music? When you make the beats, do you also get the sense of this is sort of artist I want on the beat too?
Of course, yes. Sometimes you just make a beat just because of how you feel or how you want the music to feel. Some other time you make a beat that is tailored to a certain artist because of how they sound, because you know that how they sound vocally would match how the sound is on the music. And then sometimes you're just creating. You don't even know what you're creating. You're just making sounds, And yeah, I started off producing music as a sampler, because I just listened to. So this is how I even started. There's a friend of mine who's late now, rest his soul. His name is Eche. When I started making beats, I was in a school band, and we had a live studio and a recording studio, like a digital studio. I never even knew the digital studio existed because they never let us in there. They just let us come rehearse in the live studio and then we leave. So I was early one time at the rehearsal, and I could hear sound in the other room. I'm like, what's going on? Do we have another So I opened up the door a bit and I picked, and I saw one guy on a computer programming music all by himself. Prior to that, I used to think to make music, you need like all the instrumentalists in one room to record. Just how people used to record in those days. But just watching this guy do this thing all by himself, just program this thing on this computer, and the sounds are coming out, it blew my mind. And I told myself, man, this is what I want to do. And the guy looked back and saw me peeking. I was like, yeah, come in, come sit down. What? So I came in, sat down, and watched him do what he was doing. It was just so amazing. I've never been mind blown that much in my life. So I was like, yo, I'd like to learn this, stuff. And then I think at the time it was Fruity Loops 3, the version that was out then. So he burnt it on a CD and gave it to me. It was a free copy. Went back home. I didn't have a computer at the time, so I installed it on my friend's computer, his mom's computer, which was in his mom's room. So what we'll do is we'll come back home early from school, sneak into the mom's room while his brother watch. His name is Dele. Shout out to Dele, right? Bro. So we'll just fiddle around with the software, just self-teaching ourselves while his brother was watching. As soon as he sees his mother coming from like way down the car, he'll alert us like, yo, mom's on the way, and then we'll all shut everything down, lock our room, be in the sitting room and play games and just do whatever kids do, So we kept doing that for a while, and I just figured that this is not sustainable. I'll have to, set up my own system at home. So I didn't have enough money at the time to buy a full computer set. So I was already making art, I was painting, I was drawing, so I was making some money, and my mom also gave me some money to add to what I had. So I built my first computer from scratch.
Wow.
I got the case, got the motherboard, got hard drives, got RAMs, got graphics card, just built everything from scratch. And that was how I was able to have a computer for myself to, install the thing on. And
you built a computer?
Yeah, I did.
Nigeria.
I had to, because I couldn't afford to buy it one time. So I was buying it in parts and pieces, and till I had a full system to work with.
So then how did the last sample then come?
Okay, yeah, sorry, I was getting into the sampling.
Yeah.
So when I had this system, I was making beats, but I realized that my beats they weren't sounding as professional as I want them to sound, because like I said, when I listen to it, visually it's not working, it doesn't work. And I try as much as possible to make it work, but I realized that what the challenge was at the time is the samples that came with the software. They were just basic samples. So I needed to get professional sounding samples. So my friend Eche, who was also, I think was kind of like, he was just a music lover. He had like stacks and stacks of albums from different rappers and different artists. So he came to my house, he listened to the beats I made. He loved it, and he was able to see the same thing I like, or notice the same thing I was, going through my challenges at the time. So he figured he had a solution. He said he'd be right back. So he left and then came back 10 minutes later. I went to his house, literally brought cartons of albums and CDs, like 5 cartons stacked with albums and CDs. Say, bro, just listen to all this and your music will change. I'm like, what the hell? What time am I going to have to? And anyways, so that means no more going out for me, because I used to, when I come out from school, probably read a little and then go out, hang out with my friends and whatever. All that ended. I was just in my room listening to music. So what I would do is I would listen to records, and first of all, I'll listen to how it was produced. I'll listen to what emotions are behind, why this instrument is louder, what this is doing. And then that was the first stage. Second stage, I started listening for kicks and snares where they stand alone on songs. So I will listen through. When I hear a kick that stands alone, I'll pause and I'll chop it out and save it as one sample, one kick. So I kept doing that. Did it till I ran through the entire CDs. Now I have a library of samples for myself. I had up to like a 2 gig or 3 gigs of samples at the time. That was a lot at the time. So when I started using those samples to make my music, that was when my music now started sounding how I wanted them to sound. They were sounding professional. They were sounding good enough for, I'll literally make a beat and it would sound like something that you could play on radio and it would sound like a song. So that was where my sampling, background came from. And I started listening to more of J Dilla, DJ Premier. I was more hip hop influenced at the time because of the culture that was around in Jos and in Zaria, my university at the time, because I was around more rappers, than singers, rappers and dancehall artists, reggae people. Even back in uni, we had a thing in Sculpture. There's a place in my uni called Sculpture Garden. Every Friday, they had like a cypher session where people, gather and just rap. You just rap and rap battle and all that. So beat makers come around. So I had all that hip hop, cultural experience growing up. Listen to J Dilla and Timberland. Just try and reproduce whatever they've done. I try and reproduce it as close as I can get it. Just for practice. I kept doing that for years. Sometimes my mom would literally so my room was opposite my mom's room. And I'll be banging out beats and just making all this noise. I was just lucky enough to have a, parent like that. My dad was already late at the time. And even my dad wasn't the kind of person that would be, my parents wouldn't pressure you to do what you don't want to do. Basically, like, make you do a career that you're not, gifted for. They would rather nurture or encourage you to, to just bring out whatever you're displaying or exhibiting already. So sometimes my mom would walk into the room and just sit beside me and just watch me, make this thing. I was just amazing. So I was like, what the hell are you doing, man? You bought this computer, you're supposed to be doing something. But anyways, let me see what you're doing. Who are you making this for? I'm like, I'm just making music. I don't know. So I kept doing that for years and just kept getting better at it. Even the first song that I produced. So the first time I made it, I copied all my beats on a CD and handed it out to somebody to listen to. Was Young L, one of the artists that I still work with till today. So I met him we had like a mutual family friend. So the friend told me, I have this friend who's an artist. I know you make beats. I have this friend who's an artist. I think you guys should link. You guys might be able to do something, great. So I came with the CD, handed it to the guy, met him, we introduced ourselves, gave him the CD. He listened to it and he came back to me. He was like, bro, I'm not going to lie, man. This shit is whack. He told me straight up to my face, like, nah, I can't record it. And at the time he was already a star. He had a song on radio that was #1 for weeks. For even a month, his song was #1 on the radio. So hearing that from him, I'm like, shiz. So the thing is, I think one thing with me, how I take criticism is if you tell me why my work is whack, I wouldn't take it as maybe you hate me or whatever. I'll go back in the studio. When I come back, don't worry, you will love it. You will love what I'll bring, with me. So I just went back in the studio, and that means I just had to get back to work and, better my art and my shit. And then the next time I met him, when I gave him the CD, he recorded the entire CD. He loved it. And we've been working and also with him as well, I'm very brutally honest with him. Whenever he sends me a song, I'm like, nah, I don't like this. This is not, He had a hit song called SOS, and how that song was even made. I sent him the beat. The first thing he recorded on the song, when I heard it, it wasn't bad, but when I heard it, it just didn't sound like, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like what he recorded was meant for that beat. So I told him, bro, this shit is dope, but I don't think these lyrics are meant for this. Just try something else. He tried it 3 times. In fact, the last time was when he now came and we were in the studio together, and he just recorded once. And I just knew. You will just know. If you're a producer of an artist, the moment you record that song and it's just right and everything is just perfect, everything just falls, you will feel it. You will know. You will know when it's time to just stop. You will feel it. So, yeah, and met Ice Prince, same way. And even coming down to like when we made Last. Yeah, but even before Last, I had sampled a song. There was a song I did with Burna that was sampled. I think it was Into You by Tamia, I think, featuring Fabulous. So I'd sampled the chord progressions there. And we made a song on, I can't remember what album that was on, but yeah, that was the first time I sampled for Burna Boy. Although we've done some other stuff unreleased that have been sampled. So we've been sampling. And I'm sure when we were in the studio, when we were about to make Last, I'm sure when he suggested I would sample something, it was because he trusted in my ability to actually handle sampling, because he's heard we've done it before in the past. He's heard my works. And he actually suggested, he came up with the idea for us to sample the Tony Braxton song. And as soon as they said it, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, this is it. Let's do this, man. Because that was one of the sessions I actually enjoyed, because I was back in my element. Like, this is what I started doing when I started making music. So it just took me back to those days where I'm in my room as a kid, just making. So I came with all that energy, all that sampling energy, and we made the music, we dropped it. It just became a global smash, and that just brought in back a whole new, landslide of sampling music and samplers and new producers sampling and stuff. And I'm just happy with how it has impacted the culture and just the music industry entirely.
I have a follow-up. So I have a lot of friends that are in the music industry, and I think they always tell me how they can record a song, record a hit, they know it's a hit, but maybe that song doesn't get released commercially till maybe 2 years, or just timing, right? Can you really articulate what that feels like to know? Because I don't know what the timeline from when you guys recorded Last to when it was commercially available. What does it feel like you're walking around, because you played for friends, you played for people, but this is a hit. I'm sure you knew it was a hit maybe at the time. Instantly, right? So how long from recording to when the world gets to hear it, how long did that take? So the first placement I had on Burna Boy's album, which was the first song that even got me my first Grammy nomination, came out 2 years after we had recorded it. Yeah, the song was originally, so basically this is how, let me just give you a backstory of how that song even came about. So there's a producer, really, really dope producer called TMXO. He linked up with one of his friends who's another producer and a sound engineer called GMK. So he went to GMK's house to work, basically, how producers collaborate to work. And GMK was running through his computer, running through like samples I had on his computer, and he came to a sample from there's a duo on YouTube, a father and a son that played, I can't remember what the instrument is called, but it's like a guitar, one of those ukulele instruments here. And the sample was from that video. And TMXO heard it, he was like, yo, this sample is really dope. Are you doing anything with this? Can I have it? Yeah, GMK was like, yeah, you can have it. And then TMXO took it, made a beat with it. And at the time I was already recording with Burna. So he linked up with me and told me like, yo, I have this idea. Let's get Burna and Yusundo to do a record together. I'm like, yeah, that would be amazing. So I pitched it to Burna. Burna was down to do it. He recorded his verse, did all his parts. But at the time, Yusu was on tour. So I don't think he was able to get his part done. So that record was shelved for 2 years. Then I started working on my own album, on my own project, which is not out till today. So, and then I heard that song. I'm like, yo, I can actually reproduce this thing. I can put this on my project instead, because I wouldn't want this song to just waste. So I hit up TMXO. So I was like, bro, do you mind I reproduce this thing from scratch? Because I would want to replay the sample so it's original, so we don't get sued for, So because I don't think at the time I had money to clear whatever sample it was. I would rather just replay it, and make it original. So TMXO, being a good friend, is like, yeah, cool, do whatever you want to do. I'm down. Let's do it, So I took the record, listened to the sample over and over again, and then found an instrument that sounds the same. In fact, found like the same instruments, but the digital version on the software, and just replayed everything, added some things to it, and then remade the beat. And luckily for me, while all this was happening, Burna was working on his album. They were actually even rounding up the album. So I sent the song to his management for clearance. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to, clear this song. And I think I sent it to them twice. And the second time when they heard it, they were like, oh, this record is still that, bro, send us the stems. Like, we want to put it on the album. So I'm like, oh, this is even better. They want to have it on their own album, which is even going to be way better. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Put it together, sent them the stems. Next time I heard the song, he had Angelique Kidjo on it. I'm like, what? You guys are trying to blow my head right now. So, and then I met twice with his management. And then next time we met again, I was hearing Emole on it, and I was like, nah, this is too much, man. 2 legends, making it 3 legends on one record that I made. So I hit up my guys. I hit up TMX. I'm like, bro, this thing has gone a totally different way. This shit is going on Burna's album, and it has 2 big features on it. And he was happy as well. We did the whole paperwork, sorted everything out. Song was out, album came out, got nominated. We all got a Grammy. We all got a Grammy nomination. That's so TMX got production credits. GMK also got production credits as well, because it's his sample. He found the sample, So because
everyone has to get a credit for whatever input they have, because they all made it work to where it was, to what it is, you know. So however, you know, percentage of input that you have, you deserve to have a credit, you know, on whatever you've done. So that was how that, you know, that work happened. Then just to fast forward to you were asking me about Last, right?
Yeah. How long did it take from recording?
Yeah, so fast forward to Last. Last came out, I think, in just weeks. It came out almost immediately. So the night when we finished the record, Burna called his management immediately and told them, "Yo, I'm sending you my single right now." Cut the phone. The next person he called was Clarence Peters. I think you guys had Clarence.
Yeah.
The next person he called was Clarence Peters, and all this was happening around, let's say 11, 12, just before midnight. Called Clarence, told Clarence, "Yo, bro, I have this song. I need you to come to my house tomorrow to shoot the video." I could hear Clarence over the phone, like, "Tomorrow, bro, why would you just call me and tell me to come tomorrow? I need to, you know, do a treatment. I need, you know." Burna didn't want the visuals to be overproduced, and he just wanted it to be as real as possible. Just my lifestyle with just my friends, my house, my cars, directing myself. Yeah, that was the vibe I was going for. So when he explained it to Clarence was like, "Don't worry, I'll send my boys to you know, to come, you know, record it tomorrow." But I was like, "Yeah, that's even perfect. Let them just come with any camera they have. Just let them come." So I was gonna go home because I'm like, "Yo, my job here is done." I was gonna leave, but I'm like, "You leave, better still. But shouldn't this thing first thing tomorrow morning?" So because I knew coming back to his house, there might be traffic, so it might take me longer to even get there. So I'm like, "Hey, fuck it, whatever, man." So I slept over at the house. Next morning, early, Clarence guys were there, you know, on point with their cameras, everything on set. We shot in his house, shot in his friend's house, shot at the garage where his Ferrari was parked, where the one he crashed. Shot everything. Song was done, and the version you guys are seeing is actually the clean version, the clean up version. That song, the initial video was, it was real.
It was too real.
It was real, yeah. But the version that is out there now is a proper like media version that is good enough for the media. And big shout out to his management team to be able to, you know, put it together properly. But yeah, that was how that happened. In less than a month of production to release. In fact, I think less than a month was out.
Okay, I'm glad to hear this because I'm like, how can I sit on a song like Last for 2 years before it?
Trust me, there's songs that I'm sitting on right now from artists that are not out. Maybe it's weird because of some, I don't know, political, industry politics or whatever. Those songs are there. Those songs can change people's lives.
Really?
Yeah, I know for a fact. But what can you do? You're the producer. You might as well just, you know. So in those, there's songs that you would feel like you can take off the beat and just sell it to another artist. And it works sometimes like that. It's worked for me sometimes, you know, in the past like that. But there's certain songs that I just know that if it's not this artist, it's not getting done. If you take out the artist's vocals and put someone else, it's just gonna have because it's the feeling that comes with the record that makes it the record, you know, not just, you know, the artist or whoever is on it. So those kind of songs end up just dying in your hard drive. And I have a bunch of those. I have a whole, it's called the hard drive records. I have a whole bunch of those, you know, records from some of the biggest artists that you know, so I'm not going to mention names here, but just for, you know, client confidentiality.
Wait. I want to click into something you said, because you said you have your own
album.
Yeah, where is it?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, so it's ready now.
Okay.
I made 3 albums and scrapped all 3 because I just felt like 2 things. I was being too harsh on myself. I was being too much of a critic of my own work. That was one. And also I just felt like the sound at the time I felt like I wasn't making music from a place of personal identity, from a place of, you know, because when you make music, it has to come from within. You have to actually feel a spark. You have to feel it for it to actually feel good. And I felt like I was just making music just because of what I wanted. It was because I just wanted people to just dance or whatever. But when I listen to it over again, I'm like, this doesn't represent me sonically. You know, I need something that represents me sonically. And with what I have now, I'm at that place. I have not just 1 album. I have 4 albums ready for release now. Yeah, and I'm dropping first quarter next year. I wanted to drop this year, but I've decided to wait it out because there's a time period that, you know, and because it is a lot of work. So I need to spread them out and just, you know, put them out properly.
In terms of how you plan release, do you listen to the Clips album?
Yeah, I did.
Did you like their release? Because I think it was one of those things that was very nostalgic about how I think they had the album out like 2 years or a year before, so they had time to really plan a release around it. Would you like to see the industry get back to that sort of like release schedule?
Of course, most definitely, because one of the things that can determine if your album is going to be successful is your rollout, your release, how you go about releasing it. You know, you can have a wonderful body of work, and if your rollout plan or your release strategy is not solid, it might just fall by the roadside and just be one of those albums that came out and no one heard. You know, so this is how you hear albums that are not really that great, but it's just everywhere. It's on every chart. It's because it was properly released and well promoted as well. Yeah. So you have to put all those into consideration when you're putting out a project. Yeah.
And actually, I'm curious, do you feel like African producers are finally getting their flowers, or do you feel they're still on someone else's table?
I feel like the flowers are still on someone else's table because don't get me wrong, African producers are well appreciated, but I don't feel like we're appreciated as much as we should be, So there's things that I wouldn't want to get too deep into right now because it would touch some sensitive, topics and people that I don't want to, bring up. But I don't know why some artists find it difficult to properly credit a producer that they worked with. Crediting is one of the things that even make your work look larger than life. So if you have a piece of work now that you've put out, so say for example, this podcast, for example, you have a whole production team behind it. Or even let me just say movies, for example, let's say I shoot a movie. Let's say my name is Chopstix, for example. Okay, shoot a movie. The movie is called The Life of Chopstix. And I put out the movie. And when it's time for the credits to roll, you only see one name, Chopstix, and that's the end of credit. Even if the movie is great, we're like, okay, this was one person. It doesn't make it seem larger than life. It doesn't make it seem as big as it's supposed to be. But when you have a whole team well credited, from the sound engineer to the voice producer to the music producer, everyone gets properly credited. It makes you it looks like you know what you're doing. You know everyone you've brought on the team to do the work. Just crediting it doesn't take anything away from you. I don't know why people find it difficult to credit people correctly, to the point where this is the reason why I haven't stopped using tags on my music. So if you just hear a Chopstix beat now, you might not even know. Unless you really know what my sound is, that's when you will know this is made by Chopstix. So I'll make a song, produce a song, we'll make his heat song, put my tag on it, I'll have my tag taken off from the record. Yeah. It's happened a bunch of times where either the management would say, oh, they want the tag off, or just some politics, something or the other. So after a while, I'm like, do you know what? No more tags. I've stopped using tags, so because the reason why I was even using tags in the first place was to get my name out there. My name is out there already. That's fine. The most important thing is for the music to bang and for the quality to be like, 100%. And that was what I focused on. And I forgot about using tags.
Wait, hold on. Before we jump, because this is important.
Yeah.
I got to click into this because I won't say the artist's name.
Yeah.
But I will, this thing is hitting me because I remember I was at a restaurant and I was with someone and she was like so excited because she was like, yeah, my work was featured on this artist's album. And then, we popped champagne. We're like, oh my God, so happy for you. Like, this is cool. But then she was saying how this artist did not want to credit her. Like they did. So basically like, yeah, I guess she's got paid on the back end, but she was basically saying that, yeah, like this artist doesn't want to put my name there. Like, cause I was telling her, oh no, you better let people know that like you're part of the production, you're part of the thing. And she's like, oh yeah, that like I had to sign an agreement that I couldn't put my name physically out there. And I think that's crazy because when I think about American music, a lot of times I reference the producer. Yeah. I'm like Dark Child, Timbaland, Pharrell. Like there's a whole industry around the nostalgia of these producers and what they did.
Of course.
So I think it's weird that artists here are not trying to take it. Cause I think it, like you said, it makes it interesting. Yeah. I even think about Beyonce, like half of the interest in her album are the producers. Like people are like, oh, who produced this? And oh yeah, this person wrote this lyric. And like, that's part of the storytelling. Yeah, so I think it's crazy.
It helps to sell the music. It helps to sell the whole craft
exactly
holistically. But I clocked it. I think it's an ego thing. It's just there's a lot of ego play in Nigeria. I came to notice that as soon as I noticed it, because sometimes I'm trying to connect with people because I'm all for the work. I feel like the work is bigger than all of us. I've never made my work about myself. It's never about Chopstix. It's always bigger than I am. Because I came here, I met the music. When I die tomorrow, I'm gonna be away, forgotten. But the music is still gonna be here. That's the only way people are gonna remember me. And I feel like that idea is just bigger than you, man. No matter how big you get as an artist, your music is still going to be bigger than you. You can never, but the moment you start getting bigger than your music as an artist, is a problem. It becomes a problem for you, it becomes a problem for your team or your label or whoever signs you, because so the music has to be bigger than you. And in having that type of mindset would let your ego rest, because the more you feed your ego, the less you're going to be creative, because ego has literally, man, I can't tell you the number of works that have been shelved off of the fact that they were just egos clashing, and there's people that feel like crediting you would is giving you free promo. What's wrong with giving someone free promo who actually contributed to work that there's nothing wrong with that. If today I'm dressed, I'm looking good, even if I've paid for the shoe, if you ask me, what are you wearing? I'll say, I'm like, bro, I'm wearing this brand. It just makes it bigger, it expands, it makes it more than just about yourself. It makes it about everyone who's, involved in the making, the thing what it is. So I feel like people should credit people more. Even songwriters. I don't know why people don't want to credit songwriters, because they feel like, if I say someone wrote my song, they'll probably look at me like I'm less of what I am. Bro, you are not less of anything, credit people, artists, producers, songwriters, graphic artists, whoever has an input in your work, in your album, in your single, whatever it is that you've done, as a piece of, or as a body of work, credit people right, give people the right credits, and it doesn't take away anything from you, it even adds to you instead. It makes people understand that you can work with a team. It makes people understand that you have collaborative, spirit, you can work with people. And it just makes people understand that if you work with people, you can make something great, not just, by yourself as an island. Because I don't believe there's any one person, that can create by themselves. Even if you're creating by yourself, whatever you're using to create was made by someone that has allowed you to use it to create, so creativity is not about, it's not an individualistic something ever. It's always a collective effort.
In music itself, the sound, there seems to be a lot of abundance in music.
Yeah.
But in the music business, it seems there's a lot of scarcity.
Yeah.
I think it's something I tell Chika all the time. Like when I was in the entertainment space much more heavily, I just could never wrap my head around the number
business.
of scarcity mindset where, no, bro, all of us can actually win. Like,
of course,
if this blows and when it blows, all of us can actually win. But this whole idea, like, hey, it has to just be me, or maybe I've gotten screwed before, so now I have to screw other people or make sure it doesn't happen. I think it's something that I want to see, even if it's tools that we develop, because a lot of it too is what role can technology play in increasing transparency and enabling abundance. What sort of tools are you seeing in the space, like from a technological perspective, that can help enable this, whether it's from publishing, syncing? I think yesterday a friend of mine was demoing a product that he's building that's going to allow him to be able to publish and sync from across the world for people looking to sync his music as well. Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember clearly, the last time I was here at your house, we're just having a conversation about how founders, foreign founders usually collaborate and make something, and then they exit and get enough funding to go start their own different dreams and goals. But founders in Nigeria always want it to be about themselves. Oh, it's me. I'm the CEO. I found this. Like I said, it's always an ego thing. I think the first thing that we need to do first is information. It's just knowledge about the music business. There's very limited knowledge that's out there right now. And there's more people without music knowledge, without music business knowledge, trooping into the music industry or taking on music as a career, and every day, so what I'm even doing now on my own end is I have a music, so we set up a music company, and it's like an artist development company. It's called Summertime Music. Outside of developing an artist's, skills and music and career, what we're doing now is, orientating the artists, even teaching them, like letting them know how the music business works. Because that's how you end up having issues where an artist starts fighting with a label, because but before you get signed, you're excited, you're just looking for a deal. And I don't blame them. Most of them are struggling, and imagine struggling as a creative, as an artist, and you're struggling to eat, you're struggling to pay your rent, and then someone comes to you and says, I'm going to give you $20,000 and I'll sign you, but I'll own all your masters. I'll sign you for 10 years, or I'll sign you for 15 years. I'll own all your masters. I'll own this, I own that. They're telling you all these things. You're not even, where your mind, the only thing you're hearing is that $20,000, because you're calculating in your mind, shiz, $20,000. If I convert that to Naira, that's millions. I'm a millionaire. Oh my goodness. And then you sign this thing and you start, you get the money, obviously. And you won't get the entire $20,000. It might even come in like in bits. Yeah. But at least you're making money. You can pay your rent now. You're traveling. You're recording more music. You're dropping more hits. Now you're beginning to travel outside of Nigeria. Now you're beginning to be in spaces where they're talking about music business. You're beginning to meet other artists who actually know the music business and talking about how, their publishing is on point, how they own their masters, how they're making money quarterly. BMI is paying them, PRS is paying them, ASCAP, all these PROs are paying them, and they're not signed to a label. And you're wondering, you're like, oh, how is this happening? And then they're telling you they only have 2 albums. Someone has made $2 million, and you have 10 albums. You've only made $100,000. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, shiz. Then you now go back to read your contracts, and that's when you now start seeing, oh man, I made a mistake. Then you now start fighting your label because you won out, because you've realized that the deal was a terrible deal, and all that decision was made because you didn't just have information, you didn't have knowledge of it. So I think the first things first that we need to do before we even start telling anyone about how to make money is just information about just how the music business works. You need to understand how it works, because it's a business, however you want to say it. Because it's music, people just feel like, and because it's one of the businesses that you can just wake up today and be like, I'm a musician, and you can just start. You don't need a license, you don't need to set up a company, you can just start, and you can just start and just win at it if you're lucky. But if you go as far as setting it up as a business, having a structure, having management, legal, having all your songs registered and all your IPIs, attached to all your music, registered to all the PROs, then you're running a business. You know how much music you're making in a year. You know how much that's breaking back to you. When you go to events or shows, you know how much you're making. You know how much you're paying back in taxes. It's a proper business that is taxed. If you approach it that way, there's no way you can lose. It's impossible for you. It's literally, unless you just want to lose, it's impossible for you to lose if it's set up that way. So I feel like that's the information that people need to get first before we even start telling them about how, the music business work and how to make money from music. Yeah.
And what's the worst deal you've seen from either a producer or an artist?
The worst deal?
Yes.
This is crazy that you're asking me this right now, because 2 days ago I was going through, I have a file that just has old documents of files so I was just going through, I was searching for something. I was actually going for a US visa interview, which I got denied anyway. I'm going to get to that. So I saw this contract from a producer. This was after I had gone through my own share of the industry wahala, and I had to leave music for 2 years to go study the music business. I'm like, let me leave this thing, because I kept getting. Someone who says, other times they say they run you streets, so many times, and so I'm like, let me leave this thing. Let me just go and even understand what I'm doing. I started speaking with music lawyers, started speaking with CEOs, execs, people who run labels, just to understand. Let me just understand what's happening at the back end. Let me understand what I'm doing properly, and when I came back with so much knowledge that I made it a personal mission to just give knowledge out for free to whoever I meet, artists, producers, young, because the people who make these mistakes are mostly the younger ones who are just coming into the industry. And if they have that information and they know what I know, they have a better shot at being successful in whatever angle they come into the industry, whether as a manager, as a producer, as an artist, or however angle you decide to come in from, you have to understand the business. So I was going through my files. So I found this contract that was a producer contract from an artist that a producer signed. One of the producers I was speaking to at the time, a younger producer. Song was a smash hit. It was a big song in Nigeria. I can't mention the name of the song or the artist, but it was a cultural song. It was a big cultural moment for most of the artists, most of the industry. And I was reading the contract, and it says the artist will. So these are some of the clauses that I saw in there. The artist will be paid 100,000 naira for logistics, for the production and everything. So even that's what I'm saying about even drafting the contract. The lawyer that drafted that contract, you could tell that that's not a music lawyer. Yeah. You are saying that you are paying this artist, this producer 100,000 naira for logistics and all these other things that, fuel that he burnt in his session, whatever, that's the payment he's going to receive. And then other payments will be exposure. They literally stated in there that the producer will be paid with exposure, and this contract cannot be revisited until after the period of 10 years. Yeah, it's all in there. So I'm thinking to myself, once this producer gains knowledge of the proper ways this thing needs to be, they can come back to you as the artist that wrote that deal, and he can sue you because what you've paid for is logistic. You didn't pay for the licensing of the beat. That means you haven't paid for the beat. Yeah. So when you're paying a producer for a beat, make sure it's stated in the contract what you're paying for. Because when you pay a producer for a beat, what you're paying for, what that money is for is license. You're actually paying me. I'm licensing you to use this beat to go and make money for yourself, which I'm still going to make money from because it's my beat, it's my intellectual property. So that producer can actually go back now and sue the artist and be like, yo, I'm suing you because you've been using my work and you haven't paid me for the beat. Nothing was said about the publishing. Nothing was said about the masters in the contract. It was just a shabby contract, and he signed it. He was excited. Yeah, he signed it, and I hope he has been sorted now. He has revisited it, and but contracts like that are what I would need young producers to avoid. And you can only avoid that if you have a good legal system. You have a good lawyer and a good manager that also has your interest in mind. Another hard thing to find is finding a good manager, because there's people out there that say they're managers. What they just do is they attach themselves to a talent because they know you will make money. Automatically, they're making 10% to 20% of whatever you make. And that's good enough for them. They don't get you jobs. They don't go out there to hustle. A manager is supposed to help to manage your life, your career. Is managing in any other industry is different to managing in the music industry. It's a lot more complicated in the music industry. You are literally going to be running someone's life. That's what it means. And you have to have the passion to do that. And not a lot of people. You can ask artists, when you invite any artists here, ask them how hard it is to find a good manager in the music industry. It's difficult because it's either you find someone who just doesn't know the business, doesn't know what they're doing, or you find someone who has knowledge of the business, but would rather finesse you just for gains, or you find someone who actually knows the business and does the business. And those are more rare. They're very rare, and most of the artists that you see that are successful, they all have those type of managers attached to them, people that actually know what they're doing. But they're the ones that will go out there, get you a job, and you get paid, and they get, because they know every job they get you, they're getting paid as well. So the more jobs they get you, the more they're going to get paid. It's just common, maths, simple maths.
And let's circle back, because you said you got denied for American visa. So
yeah.
Let's talk. What is, because can't you?
I don't know.
So also we were just the O1 visa.
Yeah.
Have you heard about it?
Yeah, so I think that's the next one.
That's the next one. You should have already applied.
I heard about it.
Because you qualify for it.
You qualify. You got a Grammy.
So the thing is, I had already applied for this a long time ago.
Yeah. So they're just getting back to you.
Yeah. But anyways, the old one is obviously like the best.
We'll talk offline. Yeah, because you already qualify for it. If Grammy award.
It's crazy because as a Nigerian creative, your work goes to places that you are not even allowed into. Yeah. It's like, we want your music, but when you want to come, like, no, we don't want you. Yeah. Just your music.
Music travel, no.
Exactly.
But how did you connect to America? Like, how did you start connecting to American artists? Because like I said, you came from Nigeria, born here, grew up, your knowledge here. How did you get there?
I don't know. People just started reaching out to me because when I worked, so this is how, when I started working, when I started making music, I started with my guys, my friends, and we started a whole collective called the Great Music Collective. And through there we met Ice Prince. Now I started making music with Ice Prince, and then through Ice Prince I met Burna Boy. Started making music with Burna Boy. Then somewhere in between, I had worked with Sean Paul. I had worked with, there's a few people I would worked with off of just hearing my works from Ice Prince, because Ice Prince had Ice Prince had several global hits, at the time with his BET award and all that. So the word got out. Obviously, when they ask about the song, they ask about the producer as well, or who produces this beat, and then it circles back to me, and then people reach out to me. Either I have labels reaching out or I have managements reaching out. And from there, that's just how, I started building relationships and started building network. Even so, right now I have a whole network in America without necessarily ever been there. Yeah.
Wait, you never
Never been
wait,
there.
hold on. Sorry. You've never been to America.
I've never been to America.
But you have a Grammy from America.
Yeah, I have 4 nominations of one win, and I have a whole network of people. My manager is American. He's in America. I have a whole network in America. I have a whole network in Europe, in like London, all that. Yeah.
We gotta change that because that's crazy.
No, but it's happening. That one is
That's
happening.
crazy.
It's happening.
Like no. That's actually that's actually insane.
Maybe they think I'm not going to come back. If I touch down there, I'm like, I'm not going back to Africa.
That's crazy.
No. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen because it also feels
Mm-hmm.
like your situation too. Yeah. Like just from the pattern that we've discussed, is like God is always tries to like position you in the right way,
exactly.
And then when it happens, it's like,
to be honest, with the kind of person I am, I don't like those kind of things. Don't even bother. Like even when I got refused, I was laughing. I left. I'm like, okay, cool. I see what you guys are doing. I'll be back. You know.
I'll be back.
So I don't really. It's not really for me. That's not really a down moment. Yeah, that doesn't really. You know, I'll go back home, get in the studio, make some more smashes. I'm like, consolation. I'll be back here because and funny enough, that same day I still had people because there's a project I'm working on with Rick Ross, and there's a company that he's partners with. I'm working with as well. And I still have people reaching out to me. Same day I got denied for visa, I went back home, and there's the whole American team reaching out to me to send in works and that we're working on. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm still doing work anyways. I'm still working with people I need to work with without necessarily having to be there. It's just that there's more that you can achieve when you're in the same space with the people you're working with. It's just better that way, And I just feel like there's better and there's more opportunities than working remotely. Sometimes, especially with music, what we're creating, like I said, is feelings and emotions, and you can better package that if you're in the studio with the person you're working with, and you guys are just bouncing ideas off each other. It's just better that way.
I was at the Empire Studio in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I think they were having a Asia writing session, like a camp. Yeah. And a lot of the Asian artists were there writing, producing, doing the whole thing. And I remember just from a framework perspective, understanding that music now, it's almost like any other sort of industry that you get in where you can expand into different markets and replicate some of the things you've done in different markets that's contextualized to the local environment. Yeah. So I remember Asia just being this such a big market. I think yesterday we spent time watching like a lot of the K-pop music, and you're going on YouTube, you're seeing 200 million views, 500 million views, 1 billion views. And you're saying, wow, like that's not something that we necessarily watch, but that this is a market that people are going in there to invest. And I think my friend who was here yesterday, Henry, he also is in the music business, and he was saying he flies out to Korea, Japan. They're doing sync deals. He's getting paid for his beats, for his songwriting, front end, back end. For our viewers, can you explain what that looks like globally now from a music perspective, where Latin music is in play, Asian music is in play, African music obviously is in play, but that if you're looking to think global, this is a global market now, and you have the channels that you can now monetize across the board. What does that look like?
So let me just start from like some of the artists that I've worked with who wanted to strategically collaborate with people from those regions, either collaborate with an Indian artist, or collaborate with a Latin artist, or collaborate with artists within that K-pop region, just because of the numbers that they do. And I get it, I understand. The reason why those people have those numbers is because there are people listen to their music and stream their music, and I feel like that's one part of music that we haven't really, really developed, be it Afrobeat, whatever genre it is that's coming from Africa. We haven't really, really, really built our technology return system, our technology, and that's why when I hear some people, I've heard interviews where people say, oh, most of your streams, your biggest streams comes from outside of Nigeria, and they're saying it and they're proud of it. That's not something I'll be proud of. I don't think it's something that we should be proud of, because if you're making music, if you're Nigerian or you're African, and you're making music here, but your majority of your streams or majority of your pay is coming from outside, then that doesn't speak well of us. It just means that there's a loophole somewhere. There's something that needs to be fixed. Because the population alone that we have in Nigeria, a Nigerian artist wouldn't need to get streams from anywhere else to be able to comfortably do well. You can be a Nigerian artist without a hit song and still be able to make good enough money for yourself and to live off of it comfortably just because of the numbers we have already. And that's what's happening in India. That's what's happening in Korea,
Vietnam,
Japan, China, all those places. There's artists in China that you've never heard of. You've never heard of these people, but they are big, they're rich, they're living their life, and they're doing things off of just the stream that are people that are able to, collectively, put together for them. And I think, so one market that has maybe figured it out, I don't know if they did it intentionally or was unintentional, is in Tanzania. Their artists get so much streams. This has been happening like years way back before. This is when a Nigerian artist gets 1 million streams on YouTube and they are posting it. I'm like, achievement, 1 million. At the time, Tanzanian artists were doing 5 million, 10 million views easily on YouTube because of their population, and also, not necessarily because of their population.
Data was cheap too.
Yeah, and also because of the access that I have to like smartphones and the internet. Smartphones are cheap there. You literally see a gate man holding their own smartphone, like they stream, they listen to the artists, and that just translates into streams. They get millions of streams. Because I've worked with some Tanzanian artists. I've actually made hit records over there as well. So I was able to witness and see all that. So that's one thing I feel like we need to develop the aspect. We need to develop it here in Nigeria or in Africa as a whole, where we have our own technology that just allows people stream music easily. Because Nigerians love to. In fact, the numbers that people are bragging about that are being streamed from outside of Nigeria are still, majority of them will still be by Nigerians that are diaspora that live out there. Because those are the people that the music gets to first before they now get other people on it. So I mean, if we're able to have a system where either make internet more affordable, where everyone has, because people complain about data every day. Oh, this person is chopping my data, whatever.
IPNX.
Exactly. So if you can make it internet access very, because I don't think the internet should be expensive. Yeah. In this modern era that we're in, internet is free in some countries. At this point, especially in a country like Nigeria, if you make internet free. Not necessarily free. Let me not say free, because free will be asking for too much, But if you make it so affordable that a common, maybe a market like a petty seller can afford to pay for the internet for a month or even for a year.
Yeah.
I promise you, there's going to be this industry you're looking at right now will be different.
Yeah.
It will be different because a lot of people have more access to even things that they never thought they would have access to. You can listen to music anytime, anywhere on your device that's also affordable. Because it's not just having affordable internet, to have an affordable device to stream it on, or to access the internet on.
And, speaking of this, because you were talking about the different markets. So, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. So it feels like this year, there hasn't been like a real hit Afrobeat song, like on a global stage, right? And I know someone else we spoke to interview was saying like Afrobeats is like in a weird space. Yeah, Clarence Peters actually said that. He's like, yeah, it's weird. He's like, I don't know what's going on. He's like, it's weird. Right. So what's your take on this?
He's 100% right. And the reason is because a lot of Nigerian artists, because at the end of the day, the people carrying Afrobeats on their back are Nigerian artists. Yeah. A lot of Nigerian artists that are in fact, there's been a shift in when they come to you as a producer, what they're demanding, like what they want. I feel like everyone now people's goals are different now. Everyone is trying to get an international deal. Everyone is trying to get, and if your goal and your target is, I want to get this deal, I want to do this, I want to travel out, I want to go on tour outside of Nigeria. If your aim and your thing is always on the outside, that will affect your music. I've seen artists who have massive hits, they start getting popularity. So I just tweeted 2 days ago. Sorry, I keep cutting myself. I tweeted 2 days ago about Lona, there's an artist called Lona and what he's currently doing. I'm like, this is one person that I'm so proud of because I've always been talking about Nigerian artists doing a Nigerian tour, like tour the 36 states in Nigeria, at least the ones that are safe to tour. Like go on those tours, do that first before you start looking to do a United States tour,
global tour
that you're going to do probably maybe 3 cities and then come back to Nigeria just because you want to be proud. It's always an ego thing, just because you want to show off to your mates and be like, yo, I've gone to America, I've done an American tour. You haven't done any tour. Tour is a tour. As long as you're going from city to city and you're performing your music to people and they're paying you for it, it counts as a tour. It doesn't matter where you're doing it. but people just want to do it in America because it just feels like it's more of a status thing. Oh, I've gone to America, I've done tours. Most of them that go to America that even to do tours in America, they're usually club tours. They're not necessarily touring, because if you see how tours are done and how tours are, the one person, maybe only the big three or the big four artists are the people that are currently actually doing real tours, like traveling from cities to city to city to city,
tour bus,
big states to big states, tour bus, and the whole tour team. How it's probably done, and especially with what Lorna is doing right now with the Nigerian tour, impressive, so impressive. I feel like they need to tap into that, And
but you were saying that their focus, especially with a lot of the artists now, when they're coming to you,
once they go out and they just see how people respond to their music, and they see, and they now start working with other foreign artists. By the time they come back to Nigeria and they start talking to producers, they're demanding something else. They want something that's more appealing to outsiders than was appealing to their people. So you come back and that's the reason why Afrobeat has a huge element of R&B in it right now. In fact, what people are making as Afrobeat right now is literally R&B. It can easily fall under R&B because it's R&B music, but with Afrobeat drums. You get me? So that's why I would always call it Afrofusion, And before Afrobeat even opened up to the rest of the world, the music that we were making was Nigerian.
It was iconic.
Yeah, you will hear it be like, this cannot be from anywhere in the world. This is from Nigeria because it had an identity. But now and this is the reason why Afrobeat is in a weird space, because now you're listening to a song, it sounds like what anyone else can make. And even if it's a hit song, it sounds like something that you can just call a producer from Texas and he pull it up, because it's becoming more
diluted.
The line is faded right now between what is can be considered as Afrobeat or what's considered as, and I feel like that is a dangerous place to be, because it now falls back on the producers. I had a writing camp 2 months ago, and it was centered around producers. And I was just, trying to put the message out there to let them know that at the end of the day, the music, whoever is going to save the Nigerian music industry is not the artist, it's the producer. Because the artist is just out there to perform to whoever is going to pay them. That's all they're concerned about. I don't think, even if they come to preach and say, oh, we're here for the culture, we're here for Afrobeat, they're not here for nothing. They're only here to make money. We're all, let's be real. Let's forget about all that being politically correct. Artists are just out here to get paid. And I don't fault them for it. It's work they're doing. They need to get paid. But at the same time, if you're getting paid, you might as well protect what's paying you, and that's Afrobeat. You have to protect it. You can't you have to some extent gatekeep it in the right way, not negatively, positively. Gatekeeping it in a way where you were able to preserve certain elements that actually the core elements of what makes Afrobeat what it is. I feel like it falls back on the producers to actually make that happen. We can't depend on artists to actually to do that. If you're dependent, because artists can slide on anything, on any music. That's what they're there for. Unless they intentionally brand themselves as Afrobeat artists. We've had situations where artists who are supposed to be ambassadors of Afrobeat go out there and literally say it in public media that, oh, I'm not an Afrobeat artist, don't call me Afrobeat artist. And I feel like it's three things. It's either an inferiority complex thing, or an ego thing, or just inferiority complex or ego. Because if you're not proud of what has brought you to where you are, then what are you proud of? Then
I think we had Clarence, and also we had World on here. We had this conversation with them too, and I think I was saying to World is, and this also happens. This phenomena is not just limited to music, by the way. I think it happens across a lot of sectors in Africa or Nigeria, where now we've started to get Western interest in our stuff.
Yeah.
We now start to forget that the reason they're looking is the authenticity that we have, and we don't need to dilute ourselves for the Western gaze or the outsiders, right? And then what tends to happen is we'll then go and try to, even as founders who have raised, you don't want to know the amount of Silicon Valley talk that comes in, and you try to then fit into their worldview, their framework, how they see the world. And then while you're going through it, though, you recognize that something is missing. Like, hey, this is not banging. The joy that used to be in this thing is no longer there. Even though maybe the money might be there now, the exposure might be there, the press might be there, but something feels too manufactured, right? And I think I was telling World, what I had to realize this year is there is something about coming back to the ancestral beats and ancestral memory, ancestral drums, right? That really helped shape the music, because even when the world didn't know about it, we knew about it.
Exactly.
We knew it was the shit. We knew it was worldwide from day one.
Nigerians have always, sorry to cut you short, we have always known that our music is the shit. This is even before it opened up the rest of the world. Yeah. And that's the reason why we only consumed our music. There was a time when, before Afrobeat started like gaining grounds, there was a time where it was just Western music we were playing in clubs, like American music, hip hop, R&B, whatever it is, that fits the whatever situation. When Nigerians started making music from the days of the Plantation Boys, and it was amazing to us, amazing to everybody. Yeah. They would make music and everyone wanted to just tap into it. Everyone wanted to just support, and the support was natural. It wasn't like they were intentionally trying to support. We were just listening to it because it was good music. Yeah. It was made by Africans, Nigerians for Nigerians, and we just wanted to listen to that, and tying that to the numbers that we have in Nigeria, that will organically grow that industry by default, But we've grown so big now that we can't just serve just Nigerians. We have to just serve it to the rest of the world as well. But yeah, in terms of just that serving it to the rest of the world has now become our gift and our curse, because now opening to the rest of the world has allowed a lot of things. It's allowed more funding, more exposure. But at the same time, artists that are not strong-willed, they've lost themselves in the process. Yeah. You can literally look at our Nigerian artists right now and they look like American rappers, and that usually, I don't know, man. To be honest, I'm not going to say there's no aesthetics to a Nigerian artist. Like you can literally close your eyes right now and if I say, think of how an American artist looks or an American rapper, you already know how they look, with the tattoos, with the dreads, with everything. Like there's a certain aesthetics that goes with being an American artist. When I ask this question, is there a certain aesthetics that goes with being a Nigerian artist? Because Nigeria is a big name. If you mention Nigeria in any space, in anywhere, Afrobeats, we're giants. Like we play big in whatever field, and we don't have an identity to ourselves. We don't have, like, there should be people trying to copy how we dress, people trying to copy how we look, how we present ourselves, but I don't know, maybe it still falls back to the, fact that a lot of us are probably not proud of, being associated with where we're from or shit like that. And that's why you have people who find comfort in looking like other people to be accepted. The reason why they tapped into your sound in the first place is because of how you sound. You sound different. It doesn't sound like what's out there. Yeah. Like with the camp that I did, we had over 2,000 entries from producers. 2,000 producers, over 2,000 producers sent in beats. Each producer might send in minimum, 10 beats, 5 beats, 20 beats. We had to sit and listen to everything. Bro, out of over 2,000 people, I was only able to pick 3 producers that stood out. Yeah. Everyone was making this, like, it just sounded like I was listening to one producer send me thousands of beats. Wow. Because they were probably sending in stuff that they feel like this is what's going to work for the market. Music, I don't think music should be approached in
science. Yeah.
You shouldn't approach music that way, because say, for example, it's like cars are different, products like hard products are different. Say, for example, a car, maybe SUV is what's raining right now. SUV is what's more practical and more, a new car industry can come in and be like, okay, this is what's working for the market. I might as well make an SUV because it's more practical, it's very, applicable. It's different from music. If rap is what's popping right now, a lot of artists would rather go the rap route than bring out because everyone has a sound, everyone has something to give to the industry, but people would rather give you what has been given to you already because they feel like it's more recognizable, it's more familiar to you. So it saves them the stress of trying to sell themselves to you. So they rather cut that stage off. But that's the stage that gives you identity. That's the stage that builds you as an artist. Yeah. The stage where you build an identity for yourself. And we've seen artists that come out selling to you what has been sold to you before. And then when you finally accept them, they're stuck in that bubble where they can't change their identity again. Now they're stuck in that thing where, that they're struggling with who they are, because who the people have accepted them to be is not really who they are. Yeah. Their music is still in there, lost somewhere, So I just feel like everyone should be original. If you can't afford to be original, then it's fine. You just do what you feel is going to sell.
But I wonder, how do we get back there? Because I reflect on, there was this long stretch of period, and I can only speak to, I know there was things happening before 2008, right? But I'm just thinking about like when I came back to Nigeria and I was, and I was growing up and I can't remember, there was this long stretch. And the interesting thing about that stretch was I could name 10 to 15 Nigerian artists, all doing their thing, all interesting, all,
all different.
Yeah, all different. And all owning their right. I couldn't remember a period was like big three. Like there was no such thing.
There was never a conversation about the big three.
Yeah.
Until the thing about we Nigerians is when we're doing our thing, if it's just us, we're locked in. We're doing it. We don't care. We're just locked in. We're just doing it. We just want to kill it. The moment we have spectators watching us, the moment we have outsiders watching, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a competition. There's always an ego. So that's one thing that we need to drop as Nigerians. Our ego and our emotions is all over the place. Like we just need to let it go, man. Just drop it. Just let it go, man. Your ego will never get you anything useful. It will never help you develop anything. Ego has never helped build anything in this world ever. Your emotions as well. We're too emotional as Africa, as Nigerians. Too emotional. Today, if you tell me that this is your favorite artist and I tell you, oh, okay, that's good. I don't listen to their music. And I'm not telling you that I don't listen to their music because I don't, that doesn't mean I hate them. It just means that the music is not meant for me. You can't listen to everyone's music. There's music you should know what's yours and what's meant for you. Like what's your style and what's your vibe and what you listen to. And I feel like a lot of Nigerians just feel like you shouldn't have
different tastes.
A different taste. You just feel like if your taste is not my taste, that means you're my enemy. No, you're allowed to have your own taste. I'm allowed to have my own taste. And that's how, so as soon as we opened up to the rest of the world, that was when that whole conversation started, trickling in where, this person has gone on tour. It's bigger than your artist. Your artist hasn't gone on tour. This person has won this award.
Yeah.
Outside of Nigeria, your artist hasn't won. It's bigger. So that whole conversation is just what started dividing the industry gradually. When I came in the industry, this was back in like late 2012. Yeah, late 2012 was when I officially got introduced into the industry from Ice Prince's album. Bro, you could pull up at anybody's house. Any artist. It was all love. It was all love. Like everyone was ready to we're supporting each other. We're helping each other grow because everyone was just new. We're learning on the job. Everyone was just trying to grow. You could pull up at this person's house, collaborate, make music, spend time. I remember there was a time, I don't think I've ever said it anywhere else. This is the first time I'm saying it on this podcast. This is when I was living, on the mainland. I was living with Ice Prince and just all of us were living in one house. And we had spoken to Wiz the day before that day. And he said he was going to pull up, because we wanted to make music with him. He said he was going to pull up at the house. I didn't believe him because I didn't think it was going to come. Because we're on the mainland, he stayed on island at the time. So this guy pulled up to the house, 6:30 in the morning. He literally came out and woke everyone up. That thing changed my mind somehow. That thing he probably doesn't know, but it kind of changed because I was still new in the industry and I was still, I've seen how artists work, I've seen how people work. And I'm like, this guy is this serious with this thing, and every time I've met Wiz, he has been on that, like he has been that serious. He's serious about his music. There's no other way. If he's not being serious about it, he'd rather not even make the music. So came to the house 7 a.m., woke all of us up, ready to make music. I felt embarrassed. I was still sleeping. But 7 a.m. So after that day, I'm like, nah, I can't be sleeping 7 a.m. I can't be in bed. The only reason why I'll be in bed 7 a.m. is if I work late night and I need an extra time to rest. Yeah. But that changed, just that visit and that experience changed my view on just how to approach, work. And since then I've just been, before then I'm a workaholic, but it just, gave me a new level of, I'm like, nah, this is very impressive. This guy came to the house to wake us up. This is very embarrassing for me, man. Like I should be the one going to people's house to wake them up to make music. But yeah, that changes how I approach and how I see, music in general. When
he showed up, did something come out of that?
Yeah, we made some music, but we never released it at the time. But I was happy with the collaboration because also expanded my just my collaborative approach when I'm working with other people. Because it used to just be me and the Great Boys or just me and Ice Prince when I'm just working. That's who were my in-house artists that I was working with. But working with Wiz and then working with Reminisce and then working with just other artists I was able to work with because they always used to come to the house to record. It just made me see how other people worked and it just helped me, be able to open up more and, allow me to collaborate easily with other people as well.
And what does legacy look like for you?
Someone was asking me they asked me the same question like 2 weeks ago. But I think right now, what I'm doing right now is I'm gradually transitioning into the stage where I'm legacy building right now. Because I feel like most of the people that I wanted to work with, I've worked with them. We've made global songs, we've made global smash multiple times, won awards. So what I'm trying to leave behind now is something that can directly impact whoever is on the same path that I'm on, or whoever is on the same path into the industry. And me winning an award might not necessarily impact anybody. It's an award that I won. Highest that we to do for you is to just motivate you, But what I'm doing right now is with Summertime Camp and with just other, people I've collaborated with or I'm in business with, is to be able to create opportunities where younger and upcoming people can also tap into and benefit from as well. So that's what I want to leave behind as my legacy, as the guy who was able to, create opportunities for people. Because when I was coming up as well, there's certain opportunities that were created for me that let me be where I am today. Like in my secondary school, our principal at the time built us a studio, which was where I first saw the software, and that was my first encounter, my first, contact with music production, and that changed my life till today. Albuchi also created opportunities for me to be able to work in studios in Jos at the time, to link me up with Emole and Jesse Jags and Ice and all of them. And I'm thinking to myself now, if I'm able to create even better opportunities for people coming up, they can go further than I've gone. They can break more, boundaries, or even do bigger things that I've done. They just need the opportunity and just the chance to be able to do it. That's all some people just need. They just need chance and opportunity,
I want to talk about some of the highlights, right? Yeah. And there's the moment where maybe you had your friends, everybody was doing the music together, but what did it feel like when you got the first proper check? Like, what did you buy that you were like, I now know that we're going to do this thing for life?
Okay, back to where I was going through that old folder I told you about. I saw a check that is written by, I can't say the name of the person now because the person is a popular actress in Nigeria. She had wrote me a check of 250,000 naira. This is back in 2012. That was my first.
That was heavy then.
Yeah, that was my first payment for music production officially when I came to Lagos. Although before then I was being paid 2K, 5K. Upcoming producer, you're still struggling. Yeah. But that was like the first check I got. And I never cashed it for some reason. I don't know why. I just never cashed it. Yeah. It's still there in the house. I never cashed it.
No.
You gotta frame it now.
I intend to do that, Because I'm just thinking to myself, why didn't I cash it? Because I needed money, but why? I just never cared about, don't get me wrong, I love money, I love to make money, but money has never driven me to achieve a goal. When I set a goal, there's a different reason to why I want to achieve that goal, and that's what drives me to achieve that goal, because I always make money anyways. You know? At the end of the day, if I'm able to make good music, it will make me money in return anyway. So but I never cashed it, but it was 250,000 naira. It's crazy because back in a couple of years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, someone was pitching to pay me 500,000 naira, and she was saying that that's all I'm gonna pay you. That's what's on the budget. And I was laughing. I'm like, bro, this is what the boys I'm bringing up now, this is what they get paid. Yeah. I can't remember when last I got paid 500,000 naira for production. But anyways, it's what it is, man.
But what was the purchase that you made? Not even necessarily back then, but that
the first time I got the next time I got the first big check.
Yes.
What did I even buy? I think I bought a new laptop. I bought I bought a new laptop, and then I also, what did I buy? I just invested back in the art. I bought a new laptop. I bought Fruity Loops, the actual version, the sold version was about $300 at the time. Mm-hmm. And then what else did I buy? I bought myself some clothes because I also need to look good as well. But I actually bought a new laptop because my computer is literally my studio. That's where I create everything. My visuals, my pictures, graphics, music, everything is the one creative hub for me. And the computer that I had at the time wasn't strong enough, wasn't powerful enough to carry well. So I felt like I needed something stronger to help me churn out better works and just make better art, better music.
We had Ubi here, and we were talking about, at the time, obviously, artists and creatives could get paid in Naira, but at this point, you get paid in multiple sorts of currencies. But how you collect those currencies, sometimes you might not have the paperwork to open up a US account or maybe a PayPal or things like that. What did it feel like? And can you tell a story around your first dollar sort of income when it started to come in and you're like, hey, I need to actually have these things set up?
Yeah. So initially, I would. This question, the answer is a bit tied to another different story that I would have to. So I had signed a deal with the guys that I told you that I had placements with, and the first time I got paid through them I was paid in pounds, and at the time I only had a Nigerian account. I didn't have a domiciliary account to receive it, and even if I had, I didn't know how they were going to send it. Because those international transfers can be tricky sometimes.
Very tricky.
Yeah. So I just told them, have an account for me there, maybe separate accounts, open it on my behalf. You can even be in your account, but just separate my money from yours. I'll tell you what to do with the money. So whenever I get paid, I either tell them what to buy, maybe buy new equipment for me and send it down, or send it to someone. I just tell them what to do with the money. You get me? But eventually I had to set up a domiciliary account here in Nigeria. I have multiple now. But even with that, whenever I have money in there, it's always hard to get money out of there, because when I go to the bank, either they don't have money. Like I'll literally go to the bank one whole week because I'm trying to withdraw money.
Crazy.
They will tell me, oh, let me take your number. I'll call you when they will have dollars available. I'm like, bro, this is unreal. Like
you're broke and you're trying to stop me from getting money. Okay,
you don't have physical currency.
Yeah.
Can I at least transfer
it out?
You can't.
Yeah.
You have to come into the bank to withdraw money. Yeah. You can't even transfer it from the same bank. You can't transfer from the app. You can't transfer from your domiciliary account into your Naira account. And I feel like that's really stupid, because as a bank, why don't you want to have a system where someone that has a domiciliary account and a Naira account in your banking system can just do a transfer rather than going through it? I understand maybe there might be some things that,
There are no things. You see, in this country, there's a roadblock.
Because,
it's not because there's no sense.
Exactly.
It's intentional.
I think it's very unsmart.
Yeah.
And I think till now that no one has actually thought about that. Okay, if I need to pay, like if I need money now and I don't have money in my Naira account, and there's money in my domiciliary account, and I can't withdraw cash from the bank because cash is not available, because dollar is not available, that means I'm stuck. That means I'm stranded, What if I can just easily do a transfer from my dollar account into my Naira account, and I can have money, Obviously, the transfer will incur some charges, which obviously the bank is going to make money. It's not free service. I'm just wondering why they're not doing it. It's still a struggle.
It's because they're using your money as float, bro.
Yeah. Moving money around in Nigeria has always been an issue. So that's why for me, it's just I don't depend on that. I don't hope to keep. If I'm not having it in Naira, then I might as well just keep it where it is or whatever.
Actually, it's funny because you were talking about like equipment, and I think that seems to be a thing of yours. Those seem to be your toys.
Oh, I feel like right now I have what's called gas. It's called gear acquisition syndrome, because, but the luck I have is I buy what I need. I don't just buy off of adrenaline or just off of hype or whatever. Because there's a lot that I do. Photography, cinematography, music production, and whenever I see an equipment that enables me to work better and easier and faster, I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you do? Because I don't think people know this side of you like that. Yeah. So, because you were talking about you're into visuals and all that, and when we saw you the other day at Paddle, you had this crazy
I was with my camera,
and I was like, this camera looks like reality show. Like, I was like, oh, that's me on the Paddle. So and I asked you about the specifications of this camera. So tell me more about this visual side of you that's coming out.
So I've always loved photography. Because even when I was younger, I think the first two things I got as toys from my parents was these disposable cameras. There's the ones made by Olympus, the brand. They have these disposable film cameras that you take a picture, and once it's done, it's done. You throw your camera away and then you develop the film. So my parents used to get us those, and then my older sister now started buying a bunch of those. So we just had a bunch of those in the house. So whenever we go to like parties, events, whenever friends come around, we take a lot of pictures. I have pictures at home, like just Polaroid pictures, So I've always loved photography. And then I did art. I paint and draw as well. That's basically what I studied in Ahmadu Bello University. And so I've always had an eye for art. But I've as soon as I encountered music just stole my heart, So I just went straight into music. But I still do art, once in a while. I have paintings at home that I've done. And so I started taking on photography from uni. I used to take pictures with my phone at the time. I just take pictures. I document stuff. When I now started hanging with my guys, I used to document a bunch of our sessions, take pictures of people. I now started designing the graphic, the album art for all the songs we released. I did for Ice Prince. The whole Aboki brand, was put together by me and Young L. yeah. Young L came up with the whole idea of styling him as a sultan with the turban and everything. And they literally creative direct the photo shoot, and I designed the cover, the art. So, and I've designed a bunch of cover arts for artists that I work with. Most of the artists that I work with, I designed the cover art for the songs when they come out, and all my songs as well. I designed the cover arts as well. But now I'm beginning to go into cinematography gradually because it's just beautiful. Like cinematography that is done right is just art to me. It's amazing to me. So that's why sometimes there's some movies I can't watch because this movie just looks too much like a product. It just looks like product in, product out. But there's some movies that you watch that it's just art. It's just cinematic excellence, and you're just there in awe, and you're just watching from every shot. You could literally pause any scene and frame that picture, and it's just art. That shit just blows my mind, and it gets me excited to be able to express myself through different channels of just creativity, be it art, be it photography, be it graphics, be it music, whatever it is. As long as it's creativity and just makes me express, I can do it.
Should we expect documentaries, a movie, TV show?
Documentary.
Yeah.
Documentary, yeah. Because I'm currently shooting a documentary about my life.
Okay.
And I have a team of cinematographers I'm working with. And it's self-funded, so we're doing it gradually, stage by stage, gradually, taking interviews, just doing things, showing things. And I'm not doing it because I want it to be on Netflix or I just want it to be of high quality because I want it to outlive me. Yeah. I want 50 years from now, when people are trying to look for like documentaries on Chopstix, there was one producer back in 2022 before the corona, after the corona period, that, thing, let's check him out. And they can actually see something that's actually, what's in, and it will still inspire them years after. That's what I'm trying to put together.
It's funny because we were talking about, I think Pius was asking me earlier about 3 words that describe what I hope this podcast is for. And I was telling him one is memory, the other one is archive, the other one is remembrance, right?
Yeah.
But the archiving aspect of it was just us saying, like in Nigeria, even in Africa, we do a poor job of archiving our stories.
Yeah.
So that when future generations want to look about what people did before they were here, they can now come and say, okay, look, we can now watch these stories and get perspective, maybe be inspired or even aspire for more, so I agree.
Yeah, no, our story has to be told by us because if you let someone else, write your story, they can change, they can write whatever they want. Easily. You have to hold the pen and write it yourself and tell people what the original story is. Let them get it from your perspective as well. Yeah.
So we're gonna move to rapid fire, right? So I'm gonna ask you a question, whatever comes top in mind.
All right, cool.
So if your beats were food, what dish would they be?
Plantain.
Why plantain?
Man of culture.
It's just I don't know anyone that hates plantain. If you hate plantain,
she doesn't hate. She doesn't like the soft. She doesn't like the soft one.
Saying.
You like the hard, fried ones.
One. What are you talking about?
All of a sudden.
No, you bugging. You bugging. I like the soft one.
I think it would plantain.
You just like it soggy. But I like it soft.
But those soggy ones are.
He knows he's a man of culture. He's a man of culture.
I'm hungry. Okay. So, what's the weirdest thing that ever happened in a recording session?
I can't say. I'm sorry.
I feel like I can name
it's not anything sexual.
Okay.
Let's get off the table. Yeah, but it was so weird. I was looking at the guy like, oh shit. Do I need to be leaving or do I need to stay? But let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're trapped in a studio for 24 hours, you get 2 artists. Who are you picking?
Don Toliver and Shoot, this is supposed to be rapid fire. I'm thinking I'll say Don Toliver and Coffee. Coffee is actually my favorite artist. Yeah.
Coffee from Jamaica.
Yeah, that's my number 1 favorite artist in the world. Yeah, it'll be those 2.
Okay.
You said 24 hours, right?
Yeah,
24.
Definitely Don Toliver and Coffee.
Amazing. I like that. What's a guilty pleasure song you shouldn't love but do?
That would be let me see, what song is that? Just thinking about it now just makes me laugh. It'll be it's a very rad song. once you hear DJ YK, Mule, those streets, that song, whenever I hear that song, I don't know what it is. But I just love it. I just love, maybe what I love about it is just how, like, whenever it comes on and I just see the reaction on I love when music makes people happy, when like the reaction is genuine. Yeah, that's what I love about that.
And if your producer tag had to be a Nigerian slang phrase, what would it be?
I'll think about this one. Oh, shit, man. I have like 1 million Nigerian slangs running through my head right now. Like, I don't even know. Like, it will be. Oh, shit. I don't even know, man.
Just give us a few. Maybe there's a few that's coming to your head right now.
I think we'll just be Giant of Africa. Yeah. Because it kind of like relates to the sound that I make. It sounds are usually just big sound. They're mostly stadium sound, like arena sound, like concert sounds. So I think I'll call it Giant of Africa.
Okay, yeah. I like that. I like that. And the last question we ask every guest on this podcast is, who do you want to see in that chair? Whose story do you think needs to be told?
Let me see. Two people actually. So the one person that's indirectly inspired me also is Dr. Uwazie. I don't know how you guys are gonna get access to her. Dr. Uwazie Okonjo-Iweala.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know her son. Just wait.
Yeah, even if whoever can tell her story. Yeah. I don't know what she has inspired me in so many ways that she doesn't even know. Yeah, because I've never had interest in watching like the what's that thing called, the summit, the
UNGA, is it UNGA?
the global summit,
World Economic Forum.
Yes, exactly. The first one when I watched her speak, I'm like, what the hell? What? Because there's a panel of like people from different countries and were asked questions, and I'm just looking at the approach to how they answer the questions, and most of them were just, some of them spoke intelligently, some of them were rambling, and then when it got to her turn, she literally just turned, like, she just came there to just shine, and she just did her thing, and she left. She left early, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, man, this woman is a boss. She's a fucking superhero, and she has just inspired me in so many ways. I would just love to hear what her story is and just, even just be around her to learn from her as well. Yeah. So I think just to watch her, because most of the interviews that I've seen her on is mostly going to be talking about like her work and stuff. But if there's an interview like this, like you can actually ask her a question about her life and just how she was able to get to where she is and how her struggles as a woman, what she's been through, her limitations, her wins, her losses, it will just be interesting to watch. Yeah. And then the second person will be I think the second one should be Don Jazzy. Because I feel like Don Jazzy has a story to tell. The story that we all know about Don Jazzy right now, just what we've seen from the public eye, just from how, from the story of Mohit, the band, and the rest of the crew, and then transitioning into Maven, and then becoming an exec, and then becoming this big global, African giant that is now the world giant. I feel like if he's able to tell his story, in all honesty, it would change a lot for a lot of people. People like myself who are also in that path of becoming, because I'm also transitioning from becoming an in-studio producer to becoming an exec right now. Yeah. And just to hear how he was able to navigate the industry, navigate the business, and build a team, grow with that team, find artists, develop them, get them signed, get the deal, get, the collaboration with foreign labels, the partnership, just to hear from the horse's mouth, them tell their own story, it would be mad inspiring. So I feel like those are the two people I want to see here. I don't know how you guys are going to make that happen, but yeah.
We'll make it happen.
We make it happen. Like,
I trust you guys anyway.
Yeah, we make it trust because we already, so funny enough, we already have, there's always a connection to these people anyway, so it's just a matter of timing. Yeah. But we'll get there.
We'll make it happen.
I believe you.
Make it happen. Yeah. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you
for having me here. I enjoyed it.
Yes, yes.